Welcome to this video, and thanks for joining us for some of these more advanced features of LMN Time. In this video, you're going to learn how to edit your times, how to swap jobs if you made a mistake, how to look at your estimated versus actual hours, and also how to mark some of your crew members as absent, late, or make adjustments to their time. Let's dive in and take a look. Let's start by taking a look at how to change your time on something. Now, there's two types of times that you may have forgotten. You may have forgotten to clock yourself in when you get to a site, or you may simply have just made a mistake on the time. We'll show you how to do both. Right now, I'm on a timesheet, and we're currently clocked into the shop, and we started at 7:15. If I want to say that Lonnie didn't start at 17, he actually started at 7:30, then all I need to do to correct this timesheet is to click Lonnie. His time will come up. Now notice the date and time. No matter how many times you tap it here, you can't change it. In order to change it, you have to go down to the bottom and click the edit button. Once you click edit, now I can change this time. And maybe Lonnie didn't get here this morning until 7:30. So I'll set his time to 7:30. Then I'll click the set button. Now Lonnie's set for 7:30. I'll click OK. And now you can see here, we've changed Lonnie's time to 7:30. Ron and Geraldo still at 7:15, Lonnie at 7:30. To change Ron and Geraldo, I can easily do that by doing the same process. Now let's look at what happens when you get to a site and you realize you forgot to clock in when you got there. So let's say we've been working this morning at our first job site, and I suddenly realized that I forgot to clock into the job when we arrived. So what we're going to do is clock in just like we would normally clock in, but we're going to adjust the time. Go up to the clock in button, hit clock in. Pick the job you're working on. Make sure the employees are correct. Pick the task you're working on. Read any notes if they're there, and stop here. You're on the date and time. So this is the current date and the current time, but let's say we got to this job at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I've just simply forgotten to clock in until now. If you tap the time, it won't let you do anything. It's locked down. To change the time, we have to go down to the edit button. So go down and tap the edit button. Now I can tap the time, and now I can set the time to what it was when we originally arrived at site. Hit the set button to lock that time in, and when we're ready to go next, I'll hit the clock in button. Just before we do that though, I want to remind you that when you forget to note your actual date and time, your supervisor back in the office will know. They will know that you actually filled this timesheet out at 10:45 or whatever time it actually was, and that you just made this adjustment. That's important because if we have GPS stamping on the phones, we need to make sure that we're doing it as it happens so that it's always getting an accurate location. So your job should be to always clock in when you arrive at site. If you do this, and it is going to happen that you're going to forget once in a while, it'll let you backdate your time. However, it will also note that you backdated your time. Once in a while, everybody forgets, but if this happens daily, you're likely going to have to answer to your supervisor. Click the clock in button to finish this process. And now you can see what happens is I've been clocked out of the shop at 9 a.m. and into this job at 9 a.m., even though it was 10:45. So that's how to edit times. Now, what happens if you've picked the wrong job? So I've clocked into 120 Carlton here, but what if I realize that's not even the right job? I accidentally tapped the wrong one. To fix the job that you're currently clocked in to, click the magnifying glass at the end of that. So you can see at the end of each job on your timesheet, there's a little magnifying glass. I'm going to click the one on Carlton. Now you can see here I'm clocked in under the job called 120 Carlton Road in Markham, Ontario. If I want to change that job, I can't tap it here. Nothing will happen. I have to go down to the bottom again, and there's a button called swap. If I tick this swap button, I'm able to pick a new job. So this time I'm going to pick the job we were supposed to be clocked in onto. Hit the next, pick the task that you're working on, hit next. It'll say, are you sure we're going to change you from this job to this job? You hit finish, and now it's changed the job. Once I click the OK button, you can see the job has changed to the new job that we're on. Now let's take a look at how to mark services on the fly. If your company has turned on the ability to track what services you completed when you were at the job, then every time you clock out, it'll always ask you the services you completed. But if you want to mark the services while you're completing the job so you don't forget, you can do that too. Go back to the magnifying glass button again. And this time on the top menu, you'll see a button called Services. Tap that. Now, if I want to note that I finished maintaining the beds, but I'm still working on the job, I'll just tick Beds Maintained. If we used Roundup, I would also denote how much Roundup we used. And then I'm going to click OK. So that's just going to mark that service as completed already. So when I clock out, you'll see that it's already marked as completed. Again, you'll be able to pick all your services when you clock out. This is just a handy way of doing or marking services as complete as you're doing them so that you don't forget. Now, what if you want to mark an employee as absent for a day? Let's say I had a crew member who was supposed to be with me, but they didn't show up. To mark an employee as absent, you're going to go up to the top right, the 3 lines, and tap that menu. Then we're going to go to the middle menu option that says Manage Crew. Now, if I want to add an employee as absent, there's an Add Absent button there. So we're going to tap that button, and then you're going to simply pick the employee who is supposed to be with you, but was absent. So we'll denote Chris here as absent. It also asks you for a reason. So we're going to pick the reason. And maybe in this case, Chris didn't even call. We don't know. So we're going to pick Did Not Report. Click OK. Chris is now on the timesheet, but he's marked. Now you've submitted a record that Chris was absent for today. If an employee is late, then you should also mark that they were late too. To mark a late employee, same process, or at least very similar. Up to the top right, the 3 lines again. Tap that menu. Hit Manage Crew again. Let's say this morning, Lonnie was late. So I'm going to tap his name. If Lonnie was late, I'm going to tick his late status is on. And then I'm going to put in how many minutes he was late. Let's say Lonnie was 10 minutes late. I can also enter a reason here, like his car wouldn't start. Once we're done, we hit OK. Now we've marked Lonnie as late. So he's still getting paid from the time that you clocked him in. Make sure you only clock him in when he starts. But we've also marked him as late here. So we're going to click OK. That's how to mark employees as absent or late on your timesheet. One of the last things we can look at is how to know how you're doing on a job. So if I want to get an up-to-date progress of estimated versus actual hours on a job, you simply go here to the magnifying glass button again and tap that. Now it's going to show you the job name, the task, and what time you started, but the status bar will show me how many of the estimated hours I've used up. And underneath that, you'll see the estimated versus actual hours. And this will all be live and in real time. So right now, for this season, we've estimated 124 hours worth of mowing, and I've used 4.75. And the status bar is telling me we've used 4% of our estimated hours to date. The last thing we can look at, when I'm done this, I'll hit cancel to go back. The last thing we can look at is how to find your way to a job. Let's say you don't know where a job is and you need a map to it. Down on the bottom, you can see a map job icon. We're going to tap that. Do a search for the job you're going to. You can type in some or all of the address. I'll tap the job name now when the results come back. And a Google map will open. That'll give me a map to the job we're looking for. That covers most of the advanced features in LMN Time. For those users that are using LMN Pro and want to find out more about how to take photos or view files, join us for the last video in this series where we'll cover that.